The world bore the scars of a long-standing nuclear war. The sky was grayer than ever, and the earth was devoid of life. People had become mere shadows of their former selves, having forgotten how to speak and relying solely on their eyes to communicate. Radiation had stolen their voices, condemning the world to silence. Despite the changes brought by the war, one thing remained constant: the instinct to survive. Lila, a young girl living in this silent world, was one of the survivors. At just 16 years old, she appeared much older than her years. She had lost her father on the first day of the war and was trying to survive with her mother. Communication was limited to sign language, and Lila was continually improving her mastery of this new language. One day, Lila went to an abandoned library. This library, a relic of the world before the war, was one of her favorite places to explore. As she wandered among the shelves, she stumbled upon an old book. The book was different from the others. There was a yellow piece of paper wedged between its pages. It had an old map and some notes written on it. The notes caught Lila's attention. They pointed to a secret from the world before the war. The map led to a distant location. Lila decided to follow this map. This journey would not only change her fate, but also the fate of all humanity. After finding the map, Lila decided to inform her mother. Her mother, a strong woman who had managed to survive in this silent world, wore the exhaustion of the war in her eyes. When Lila showed her the map, her mother was surprised but nodded in support upon seeing her daughter's determination. They both knew that the journey could be dangerous, but they had no other option. Lila had to pursue the chance to bring humanity together again. That night, Lila prepared her small backpack. She packed some food, a blanket, and the map she had found. She also included a simple sign language book she had made herself. The journey could be long, and she needed to communicate with any people she might encounter. Finally, she added a small knife that had belonged to her father. In this world, anything could happen. At first light, she set out. Lila's footsteps echoed through the dusty roads between the ruined buildings. The air was cold and silent. Silence no longer felt foreign to her, but there was still something unsettling about it. A shiver ran through Lila, but she did not stop her steps. She unfolded the map, determined her direction, and continued onward. Along the way, she passed through abandoned cities. These places, once vibrant, were now filled only with empty buildings. Some walls bore old slogans, carrying the painful memories of the war. "Stay silent, stay alive," read one wall. As Lila read the words, she thought about what people had to sacrifice to survive. For several days, she walked alone. At night, she hid in the shadows of the ruined buildings and slept quietly. Occasionally, she saw signs of other people in the distance, but she chose to remain silent rather than approach them. Safety was paramount in this world. But one day, when she reached a marked point on the map, she encountered something waiting for her: a group of people. These people seemed to know each other from long ago. They were gathered around a fire, communicating silently with sign language. As Lila approached, one of them noticed her and gestured with his eyes for her to come closer. Lila moved cautiously towards the group. Could these people harm her? Or would they offer help? Lila watched carefully to find the answers. The group accepted her. They examined Lila's map and tried to determine if they had any knowledge about the secret in the notes. However, one of them, an elderly man, seemed to imply that he knew what the secret was. His eyes wanted to convey something to Lila, but more trust was needed for that. The old man would help Lila find what the map pointed to. However, the journey would not be easy. Lila sensed that the elderly man in the group knew something that could provide reassurance. Her relationship with the rest of the group was cautious. Each of them had found their own ways to survive and had learned to live with silence. However, the old man was different. His eyes carried the memories of the world before the war, and these memories had imbued him with deep wisdom. The man approached Lila and made a gesture with his hand. "Come, I have something to show you." Without hesitation, Lila followed him. The two of them moved away from the group's camp and entered a dilapidated building. The man signaled for Lila to unfold the map again. Carefully examining the map, the man pointed to a specific spot. Next to this point on the map was an ambiguous symbol. Lila didn't know what the symbol meant, but she could tell from the man's expression that it was important. The man indicated that he wanted to tell Lila a story and began to speak in an ancient form of sign language. This language was slightly different from what Lila had learned, but she made an effort to understand. According to the man, this symbol was an emblem of a community from before the war. This community possessed a secret that could change the fate of the world. When the war began, the people who knew this secret did everything to protect it. Now, this secret was hidden at the point marked on Lila's map. The man's hands trembled as he spoke. While telling the story, Lila saw a mix of fear and hope in his eyes. She wanted to ask the man what the secret was, but he did not share that information. Instead, he signaled for Lila to continue her journey and reach the marked point. The secret had to be uncovered by the right person, and Lila seemed to be that person in the old man's eyes. Lila thanked the old man and returned to the group with him. The other members of the group did not question Lila's decision. It seemed they had accepted her leadership. Lila felt she had gained their trust, but she knew she had to do more to not let that trust go to waste. As night fell, Lila tried to sleep, but her mind was consumed with thoughts of what the old man had said. What could this secret be? What was so important that people risked their lives to protect it? Lila knew she wouldn't be able to sleep until she found answers to these questions. But the next day, she needed to gather her strength to continue the journey. In the morning, the group silently gathered and prepared to set off. Lila carefully folded the map and put it back in her bag, then began to lead the group. This secret had placed a heavy responsibility on her shoulders, but Lila was determined to bear it. The journey took them into a mountainous region. The weather here was even colder and sharper. The mountains surrounded them like gigantic guardians protecting the world. Lila and the group continued to advance, aiming to reach the hidden secret among these mountains. The path was difficult, but Lila had a feeling that there was a truth waiting for them at the end of this journey. In the midst of their journey, the sky suddenly began to darken. The wind abruptly intensified, and dust clouds enveloped the area. The group members quickly looked for shelter, but nothing seemed safe. As the leader of the group, Lila had to make a decision. Squinting her eyes, she spotted a cave in the distance. She gestured toward the cave and directed the group to run toward it. When they reached the cave, they were all out of breath. The sound of the wind echoed outside, but the interior was safe. As Lila looked into the depths of the cave, she wondered if this cave might be the location marked on the map. If so, the secret should be somewhere inside. As they entered the cave, Lila's heart began to race. The cold air combined with the darkness of the cave created an eerie atmosphere. The group members silently leaned against the cave walls, trying to regulate their breaths while waiting for the storm outside to subside. Lila glanced at the map she held once more. The proximity of the cave to the marked point couldn't be a coincidence. The elderly member of the group advanced further into the cave and gestured for Lila to follow him. Lila trailed behind him. As they walked deeper into the cave, the darkness grew more intense, and Lila's tension increased with every step. Yet, she felt a sense that something was approaching. Perhaps the long-hidden secret was finally about to be revealed. In the depths of the cave, they encountered a large stone door. This door was unlike the others. It bore symbols carved into it that indicated signs of an ancient civilization. Lila didn't know what the symbols meant, but she was certain that the stone door held secrets. The old man stood before the door and made a gesture with his hand, indicating that opening this door is your task. Taking a deep breath, Lila approached the door. She placed her fingers on the symbols. The cold stone trembled slightly under her touch. Without knowing what lay behind this door, Lila prepared to open it. As she traced her hand over the symbols, the door creaked open slightly. Lila's heart raced along with the creaking sound. As the door slowly opened, a faint light filtered out from within. Lila stepped inside to see the source of the light. In the depths of the cave, an ancient chamber was revealed. The room was filled with dusty shelves and old maps and writings hanging on the walls. This room was like a forgotten treasure of time. Lila approached a large stone table in the center of the room. On the table lay an old book that seemed to have been worked on long ago. Lila carefully opened the book. The pages had yellowed and become fragile with time, but the writing inside was still legible. The text was written in an ancient language, but Lila recognized some of the words. The book spoke of a formula carrying a glimmer of hope. Could it be a method for treatment or protection? As Lila tried to understand the meaning of the text, the old man also examined the book. A glimmer of light appeared in his eyes, and he signaled to Lila that this book could save humanity. The book had been written by a group of scientists before the outbreak of the nuclear war. These scientists had anticipated the devastating effects of the war and had created a plan for humanity's rebirth. The book detailed this plan, methods of protection, and a technology that would reunite people. However, this technology had been lost for a long time and could only be used by the right people. Lila closed the book and turned to the old man. This secret truly carried hope for the rebirth of humanity. However, turning this hope into reality required much more information and assistance. Lila knew she had to bring this secret back to the world. Accepting this challenging task, she prepared to leave the cave, feeling a new resolve within her. This journey was no longer just about her, it was about changing the fate of all humanity. Our story will continue. To avoid missing updates, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to like. What could be the secret that the young girl discovers to reunite humanity in this silent world? How will she foster hope in a world filled with dark secrets and radioactive dangers? Stay tuned to find out and share your guesses in the comments.